Hello and welcome to Real Person Reviews. I'm Sam and I'm a real person. And today I want to talk to you about Haunted Castle for the arcade. It actually came out in Japan in the arcades there, and it really only came to people here in the West on other platforms and things later on. This is the Castlevania Dominus collection that I have on my Xbox Series X. So this is what I'm playing on. I played this on. And they also got a remake exclusive to this collection on multiple platforms called Haunted Castle Revisited. And both of these are based on the Castlevania stuff. It's basically a different take on the original Castlevania story idea, but trying to put it into the arcade. And this revisited version tries to make it more like a general console game, like you'd want Castlevania to be. So I thought I would review both of these as one thing, since there are little bonus things on here. I will review the whole collection as a thing as well, but I thought I would do this since I did play through these. So let's get to that. So Haunted Castle, like I said, is basically a retelling of the first Castlevania stuff. This came out in 1987. Essentially, the beginning is just like, oh, your Simon Belmont and wife just got married, and then Dracula shows up and steals the bride away. And so then Simon has to go and save her, and he has to do so in this side-scrolling platforming action thing where he's running around using a whip to kill a bunch of horror monsters like skeletons and ghosts and bats and whatnot. You can jump, you can duck, you can attack. Defeating enemies, sometimes they'll drop sub-weapons like, axes or torches or stopwatch. They have different effects, different attack arcs and things that they'll do. Like the stopwatch can stop time for a few seconds, but most of the weapons are you just throw them and they have a different attack arc. They also cost hearts to use, which you get by also defeating enemies that will drop those. That's your ammunition. And you're making your way through the stages. You can go, there's actually a lot of split levels of parts of the level, so you can kind of go here's the upper part or the lower part in places, like walking up and down stairs. There's it's a scrolling, it's a side-scrolling thing, or I guess it scrolls in every direction, but it scrolls, and there's the ability to power up your weapon as well. Some enemies will drop power-ups for that, so you go from a whip to a ball and chain, and then from there, the best thing you can get is a sword. It's the strongest thing, so things will take the fewest hits to kill with that. Of course, you lose that if you die. You die by either running out of time to finish the stage or by losing all of your health. And you only have so many continues to play through here, although you can change the settings on this version of it. So I played on normal, but I did change it so I had unlimited continues at least, so I didn't have to go all the way back to the beginning of the game. If I lost all my continues, I could keep going from my last checkpoint. And the only way to get health back is to put credits in, which again, on this version, there's a button to put credits into the machine. There's also a boss at the end of each stage that you have to defeat. Things like, like classic horror movie monster things, like Frankenstein shows up and whatever. You'll get the idea. But ultimately, you're trying to run through all this, defeat all these enemies, survive, and defeat Dracula to save your bride. That's pretty much it. And once you beat the game, it loops, and you're just going and running out your credits to try and get a high score, and get your name in the little score screen. That's pretty much it. And it's really fun. Actually, another thing I'll mention too, a cool thing, is that unlike some older Castlevania games of the time, you can control your jump better in mid-air. I was pretty surprised with that. And just the fact that you are scrolling more like you're scrolling back and forth and things. It's not single screen things, and it's all scrolling, and some stuff is up, down, left, right. You can go all these different directions. It makes it feel less linear than it actually is. It's still completely linear, but it just feels like there's more to it. And it's a pretty fun romp to go through. Just the music is awesome. The synth sounds really, really cool. I'm a sucker for cool synth. And the badass drums on it. It definitely sounds like it came out in the 80s. Some of the songs you also will recognize either from previous Castlevania games or from later games that end up using these in their remaking them or using it as motifs or something, medleys and stuff in them. You'll probably recognize some of the tunes. So it's definitely a fun time to go through. It's definitely cool for its time. You know, the big, colorful, detailed sprites and animations and things, and cool sound effects. It all sounds and looks very cool. It's very fun. Um, Mainly the issue is that it's too hard. I mean, again, I played at home with unlimited continues, and I played on normal, and you can make it easier or harder, but I played on normal, and I just kept pumping in, money when I needed health, because there's no way to heal other than putting money in. Not when you beat bosses, or there's no pickups or anything, so you just have to survive off of what your life bar, or, you're screwed. When running out of life or running out of time means losing a life, and it is kind of a fight to basically be like, if you don't have money, you need to be exceptionally good. And you really can't avoid taking damage a lot of the time. If you try to be super meticulous and be like, okay, I gotta be super, I gotta back up, gotta make sure nothing hits me, you're gonna run out of time for the stage. You have to balance your time and your health bar, and I don't know if there's really a way around needing enough money to actually get through the game. I don't think you can just put in one credit and beat the whole thing. Maybe it's possible, but it seems very improbable to me. And that's what kind of brings us to Haunted Castle Revisited. So Haunted Castle Revisited is this remake that's only on this collection that's been put out, at least so far, I believe. Maybe it's been put out on something else, I guess. I mean, I shouldn't say that for sure. But this basically is a remake of the game to be less like an arcade game and more like a classic Castlevania-style game. So it's the same basic plot and the same going through stages and doing things, but there have definitely been some changes. Now there's one some stuff is like they've changed the Dracula fight a bit. Most of the boss fights are at least a little different in what you're doing, even though they're the same bosses and stuff. They're similar, but they're different. I think the Dracula fight is probably the most notably different and much more difficult. They also took out this boss that was basically just like a wall that was like flying at you in parts or whatever. That section was removed. There's some things that are like slightly different here, but it's for the most part the same things with an audio and visual overhaul, which I think I prefer the audio from the previous one. The music just doesn't sound as cool. I mean, I can appreciate the fake pianos and string things and whatever they're putting in there, but the synths just sound so cool. It could be a preference thing, I'll totally admit. But I really like that, so I'm a little bummed that that's out. But other than that, I think a lot of these are really good changes. Obviously, there's no putting in money or anything to get health or anything now, but you do heal between rounds, and you can heal from finding meat like you would in a classic Castlevania game. You don't have to defeat enemies now to get your pickups, so you can just break candles. They've added those back in, and your whip can get an upgrade to be a stronger whip. The next upgrade is a temporary one. It's on a timer, so if you get the next upgrade for the strongest whip. There's a little time that'll go down slowly, so you have that extra power on your whip until that goes down, or until you pick up another one. You don't get to keep that, but it is still timed, and you have to work with the health bar that you have. It does have unlimited continues though as well, so there's that. And other than that, though, it's pretty similar with the way it controls, the way sub-weapons and things you can get, and fighting the bosses have just kind of been, a lot of it's just been a bit reimagined. And in a lot of ways, I think it's very good, because while it is a bit on the easy side, you can always turn the difficulty up. I think normal is pretty easy. I was able to beat it pretty simply. The only problem I had was at the last, fight, is that they spawned me at the second form of Dracula. They let me continue there, but it was every time I continued there, I couldn't go back and get, a sub-weapon or hearts or anything. I had to fight him with one whip upgrade, and that's it. And I had to just get good at that, or start over from the beginning. But very, very good. I think this was definitely a great improvement. I think this is a good version to play for people who want a regular game. I think it's great to see that, something like this can happen, where it's hey, this old game that has it's cool but has issues, what if we remade it into something that's more awesome and fun? And I love that they've been able to do that here. So Haunted Castle and Revisited. This is a cool experience to have. If you have the Dominus collection, you get them both on here as a bonus. And I think they're interesting to check out. They're not must plays or anything. I wouldn't say to start here, but for Castlevania fans. But if you like Castlevania already, right? Like you're already into it, you're not like, well, maybe I'll like this, right? If you already like Castlevania, you want to see an interesting piece of history for it. You've got the original Haunted Castle. If you want to see the original Haunted Castle done right, you have Revisited. And I think they're fun to play through. While neither one is particularly hard necessarily, considering one you have infinite money and the other is just more balanced. Um, they're still interesting. They're still fun. They're nice little things to have. And I think as bonus games, especially, I think they're a nice bonus feature to have these things here to check out every now and then. It's at least something to check out once if you're interested or curious, because they're not bad. I think they're decent. Um, that's I guess all I really have to say. And I don't know for comments you want to leave here. I don't know if you're like, what are the other arcade Castlevania games like? That'd be interesting to hear. Have you played Haunted Castle in either version? And which version do you prefer? I don't know. Whatever you want to leave in the comments about that stuff. Because it's kind of a weird one, but I did think that at least deserved, especially with two of them together, this deserved its own video. So, just a nice romp. You can sit here, you can do it in one sitting, and it's not something you get a whole lot anymore with games. So, it's nice to get that and get a remake that actually deserves a remake. It's cool to see. Look out for the review of the everything.